And now we come into the finale of the Oscar 2018 documentary reviews as Brian reviews the Oscar winning documentary Icarus, brought to you by Netflix, the company that brings you all the documentary films for free, but still a monthly payment. So does Brian think this movie deserved the Oscar, or did one of the other four should have won?
The Oscar-winning documentary is directed by Brian Fogel, who is also the star of this film, and it has a two-part structure. Part 1 is about Brian's research about doping in the sports industry and the effects afterwards, since he is a cyclist athlete. So he gets help from a scientist named Gregory Rodchenkov. I'm sorry I butchered it. He's from Russia. So he can do it correctly, but also not to get caught from the tests he has, since he is getting help from a guy in Russia. And that's where part 2 comes in, as it goes into the whole controversy on Russia cheating in the Olympics for doping their athletes, and Gregory would be in serious trouble. So he flees from Russia to go live with Brian in the US without getting caught, cause he fears for his life would be over. Now, I really didn't know what this movie was going to be about. I know it was going to have to do something related to the Olympics, and not too long ago we had the Winter Olympics in South Korea earlier this year during the movie award season. So I was going in blind what it was about, and I was rather disappointed. Even worse than Faces Places. Not in a bad way, might I add. What I was really expecting was probably the entire doping test Brian was doing to get his cycling better. But with the Russia controversy, that's when the movie changed. I get it that the movie was filmed at the same time when the event happened, but honestly, I think it should have been the Russia part as the whole movie. I understand we had to see the Brian doping parts with Gregory cause it really helps the friendship they have, if I'm correct, but it should have been much shorter. And that's another issue, it's a bit long. Yeah, it's only 2 hours, but if you got both parts together, it seems like you're waiting to see when we're gonna get to the controversy. As for any positives to say, from what I can think of, the editing does a great job here, especially during some interview scenes. So for my recommendation for this documentary, I only recommend to those who are interested in the history of sports, specifically the Olympics. For actual sport athletes, this is a skip. And for those who have a despised hate on Russia, and for those who are supporters to our president, it depends on you to watch it or not. I know we don't have that too long ago with the recent meet with Trump and Vladimir Putin. And if you think about it, yes, I don't agree with the Academy here. Which leads into my favorite part, ranking them from the least favorite to the best, and see which one of these 5 should have won the Oscar. Starting up at number 5, believe it or not, Icarus. Sure, the recent subject matter of the Olympics was probably the reason why it won, but the 2-part structure was long and not going into too much about the Russia investigation. Number 4, Faces Places. Sure, Agnes Varda and JR have a good friendship with one another, and great talent JR has, but it feels like this should be more of a TV show rather than a movie itself. Number 3, Last Men in Aleppo. It does have a great heart of these late great heroes by saving the people's lives in Aleppo, but not seeing much of that instead of focusing on their actual life instead of seeing them as heroes. Number 2, Abacus. Small Enough to Jail. Sure, it shows most of the family a lot and not getting too much of the bank's history, but the court case they have to deal with and what the heart of the family has for one another for their great personalities. And for me, my number 1 documentary, and that should have won the Oscar, is Strong Island. From how it was told well, all thanks to Yancey Ford's direction on telling us an emotional story he has to deal with ever since his brother's death, and doesn't give up until the answers are given. So if you think about it, based on the order I reviewed, the ranking is just backwards. The only one that didn't change is Last Man in Aleppo, since it's in the middle. So I would say Netflix did deserve their first Oscar for a movie, but it was the wrong one. In terms of the nominations, I definitely would say Straw Island would be in there, and Abacus Small Enough to Jail maybe. The other three, not for me. I know there are other documentaries that could have a chance, like City of Ghosts, Jane, Long Strange Trip, and an inconvenient sequel, Truth to Power. So with that, we end Documentary Week here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and tell me in the comments what's your favorite out of the 5, and what would be your documentary lineup. Also, I'm saying this now as an early Oscar prediction. Won't You Be My Neighbor, you know, the Fred Rogers documentary? I'm gonna predict it might get a big snub in 2019 for the documentary category, but it depends if it gets on the shortlist. So, well, yes, it's the same guy that made 20 Feet from Stardom, but that could be one of the biggest Oscar snubs. It could go in the category like Amy and OJ Made in America, or it could go in the ranks like Life Itself, the Roger Ebert documentary. We'll have to see. Join me in another week as I review the Oscar films that came from Lebanon, Hungary, Sweden, Russia, and Chile.